Okay, let's call this to order and get things moving. First order of business is, the minutes from the last meeting. I don't know if, I did look them over, Leah. I saw one, I had explained one item to me and I didn't know I had done it, but Rob explained to me that we had. Right, Rob?
Yeah, sounds
Okay.
like the justification statement.
Yeah, good. So we're all good on that, and if
I
anyone
have
else,
one correction on the second page, top of the page. It says, Stratford County Communications Action should be Community Action Partnership. I think it was,
I don't know why this isn't.
I think the second page.
displaying
Well, it's under the, oh, it may have come up at the bottom of the first page.
Connor was just left like
properly. That's
5 minutes before.
No, it's above that, it's, under,
Did you check in here first?
Stratford County Community, yeah, that's Community Action what?
These are all in this
Partnership.
packet.
yeah, we might as well spell it out since it's.
Yeah, it's
relatively-
Community Action Partnership, and you can put in parentheses, CAP.
Okay,
Okay? I can do that, actually. No, you can do that. You submit this to Tiffany, right?
yeah, I'll do it, yeah, on my document.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, we will accept it with that change. Okay, moving on, I'm gonna leave this, Cindy, to you and Matt. I don't know how you want to split this up, but, if you could let us know what you've done. Do you want me to bring up that brochure?
Yeah, please. There's not a huge amount, except that we have made some progress. Cindy and I met via Zoom with the Community Action Program, in, Dover and Stratford County, even though it's located in Dover. And, after establishing that we all had multiple connections with everybody in the room, professionally and friendship-wise, which was kind of funny. It turns out that they have a fair bit of money and they're eager to use it. So there's no barrier there in terms of them holding back and having to jump through hoops. They're really quite receptive. They only have 17 clients right now in Barrington. And as we all know, the part of Barrington are really kind of suffering. And so they're eager to boost that number. And just by comparison, they have a couple hundred in Rochester. So, there's a big delta there. Granted, Rochester's bigger, but the need here is great. So they're very willing to cooperate with us and get some, take all the clients we give them. There is some income levels that the people have to kind of go through, plus some disclosure on what the bills were and how much fuel oil they're burning, how much electricity they're using, and the if they're eligible for fuel assistance and have been for Phil, then was Cindy, maybe you can help me. I think for the last year, once they reach that level, then a lot of these programs kind of open up to them. So there's further defining on that, but they do have a brochure, which you see up there, which they are willing to modify to fit our particular situation. And we're not as keen on family wellness development. I mean, that's the wrong way to phrase that, but that's not our mission here on the Energy Committee. Right. But the one on the left, the weatherization assistance, that's fairly broad. They don't do windows anymore, which is I found interesting.
They don't.
No,
They said they would repair a broken window, I think, but they couldn't. It didn't work. Their numbers didn't work to replace windows.
Right, and they didn't see the return on that investment in windows, as we all know. You take a broken single pane window and you replace it with a triple pane argon gas. I mean, huge difference. Anyway,
just to correct you on that, there is no utility putting triple pane windows in the average home, even if it's a
absolutely.
But a broken single pane window is a disaster.
But they will repair as Cindy said, that kind of relatively small scale. But, they do things like, sealing, a lot of the business is with trailers, which, are, not necessarily well insulated. So they foresaw that need, they only need people to go to them, and that's a perfect niche for us to be in. Cindy, what would you like to add?
I think they also said you would pretty much automatically qualify if you were on electric assistance.
Ah,
Right,
okay. So the people who are already enrolled in the electrical assistance program would pretty much be pre-enrolled in this if they apply?
Yeah, they would meet the eligibility requirements. So that's just a good way for them to know that they know an application would be likely to be very successful.
Did they give you any information on how to target or identify people who were already enrolled in any of these programs who would be eligible for enrollment?
and they agreed with that concept that, some people will just automatically, and they're so desperate, they immediately go and try to get help. But there's also a big segment of population where, they need the help, but they don't know how to, sort of cross that barrier to actually filling out the application. And so it said that other towns have been more, persuasive about that. And, historically, Barrington has not had that service. So they applauded our approach about knocking on doors. They did suggest that, some people be very forthcoming and present us with a fuel bill and, and we don't have, I don't know numerically what it would take for that to balance. I mean, they have to fill out the application with that information, but, the
But
application.
you're saying this could not be apparent to you just from looking at their fuel costs? I wouldn't,
It would be obvious without actually being certain, if that makes sense.
okay,
Yeah, the application the paperwork has to be done. But we can be, instrumental in getting the application in front of them and helping to fill that out, and then maybe walking it back to
Okay.
the community action program. So, this is very hands-on.
right. No, I was wondering if they could limit the number of potential doors you'd have to knock on
Right.
with some kind of criteria, but I guess that's not available.
And it would
I
be
think-
public information anyway.
I think that if we target the food pantry and the mobile home parks, we'll have a pretty high success rate of getting the right people.
Well, it's also the low-income neighborhood off the Hall Road. I
Right.
made a contact with them actually just last week, so, I had two contacts. You may know Jane Astley. She's
Yeah.
been involved with them. She's been one of the coordinators there. They even have a community center, so you could even do a little program, invite people
That's a good
to
idea.
come,
That's a great idea.
because you can only do a little bit at the
Are
door.
they the ones that have that little, that building, this sort of community building?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I
And
presented
there's
this
probably
sometimes.
3 dozen houses.
Yeah.
Maybe
Do
more.
we,
And they know me, so
Yeah, yeah.
those homes are all relatively new. Do we
Yeah.
have any feeling for how the quality of the construction there or anything? I don't know.
No, but they were prefab houses, they're like double trailers.
That can be good, actually.
Yeah, generally.
Yeah.
But she expressed an interest. She said, no, I mean, they've been around long enough. Things.
Yeah, no, I mean, it certainly is a good, I mean, we would learn something by going to that neighborhood, obviously.
And I
And
think,
then they also expressed an interest, and I had heard this previously from Jane, that they'd like to look into doing a community solar project.
Right.
Or several individual ones, but it seemed like an obvious place where it'd be great to do a community
Yeah,
project.
I agree. That's not connected with
Yeah.
the weatherization
Right.
stuff,
But
but
it's just something.
that may
to follow.
well be a project we would like to look into this year.
Yeah.
Because it fits in with a lot of funding opportunities. And yeah, I agree with you, Doug. So we should. I don't want to do it until we have some of these other issues cleared off the table, but putting together a meeting with someone who knows about the structure of that property would be good to talk to.
Yeah.
one thing that,
Matt, will they fund a mailing? Will they do funding for mailings?
We didn't ask that, but that's something we can certainly bring up to them. And the reception there was really warm and very receptive, and they have a person whose job is to communicate to, you know, their program to the outside world. So she may well have that in her budget, so I can check that out.
You said that they would be open to modifying the brochure. Would they be willing to print it and things like that?
I think so. You know, all of these questions.
Well, you, it's not just, I didn't want to cut you off.
You can go.
All right, how does this fit in, like, people that come in here to the town asking for assistance,
That's where I'm gonna
fuel
go.
and electricity?
You should be handed one of those.
Yeah, because the town routinely gets requests for assistance on electricity and things like that.
People walking in?
Yeah,
Call, telephoning, walking in.
Oh.
And I
Well,
suspect
well,
Tiffany probably even has record of all those kind of past instances. And while they wouldn't necessarily share that information, but we could supply them with this information, which they could then share with those people.
Hmm.
Who would they talk to?
They're usually, I mean, I've heard Tiffany field.
they
calls
talk to
for that.
Deb. Deb
Yeah.
handles that,
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
last name.
Woods, Wood. Yeah, she's, human resources,
yeah, I think when she's been out, I've heard Tiffany.
yeah,
field, but that's why I mean, they get the calls.
Yeah, okay.
So I have it.
Do you want to follow up on that, Matt?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. Um,
And I'll get you that contact.
Right, I appreciate that. Yeah. And these are all great ideas, so keep those coming. I'm happy to chase these down.
If you want to put forward a suggestion on how to modify this, that would also be really good, because I mean, it sounds like we could get some of these out pretty quickly. I don't know when you wanted to be knocking on doors. I don't know if you want to do that.
It's warmer,
Yeah, that was kind of what I was wondering.
which seems a little counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
Turn the people who are cold.
So is this a flyer? And-
Yeah.
It's the trifold.
Okay.
Yeah, it's,
The other, which I found interesting, and again, Cindy, jump in here if I'm speaking, but they don't seem to collect, aside from people showing up. And they have those records, of course, but they don't keep data on how much oil is saved or how much kilowatt hours are saved. That's not recorded anywhere. And for us, that would be our bread and butter in terms of advertising, you know, what's possible out of this committee.
so they don't do any record keeping after the improvements. have been
Right.
done.
Not that I could get. Did you get the same impression, Cindy?
Yeah,
Uh,
I believe he said they basically document that they're income eligible and that the home is going to benefit significantly from weatherization, and then, but after that's done, that's it.
Well, you could estimate based on the number.
That'd be my hope. Yeah, and we can even build that into the flyer. Yeah, please let us know so we can, yeah,
It's kind of a long-term question in that you really would want to be looking at a year's comparison.
What I said in a questionnaire once a year. Yeah.
Regarding the timing of doing these walking tours, the representative told us that, you know, basically the weatherization projects, if we reach these people in the spring, wouldn't be happening until next fall. Is that right, Matt?
that is, yeah.
Yeah, and my only time constraint is just the library stuff. I just want to do it after March 12th.
Yeah, and, you know, and I'm certainly available. I'll be gone for the first week of March and 2 weeks in May, actually.
Okay. Well, obviously, you know, that is constrained by your schedule, and that's the
Yeah.
way it is. You know,
Yeah.
Clearly, you know, you're the people.
Otherwise, would not be happy to go on a cruise alone on 50th.
Yeah,
Have a good night.
no, we're not asking people to do things like that. Okay, that sounds great.
Is there any interest in anybody else knocking on doors, or is this a Cindy and Matt show?
I might, I have a little experience with that.
Yeah, deep experience.
Yeah,
in that.
like,
Yeah.
too much, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay, some level.
Yeah, assuming we support you with the flyers and the information, and
Well, I think as we already discussed, people should not do this alone.
Right.
This is two people and, you know, anytime.
Well,
people-
you know, it's on a Saturday afternoon. No,
You're
it made a
comfortable with
difference if
that?
you're a man. I did it for like 8 years by
Okay.
myself, generally.
And
I didn't like having people with me. It's just an extra confusion, but.
Yeah, I used to do it by myself too, but honestly, those days are over. I had some bad stuff happen.
And certainly for women, obviously, it's different.
Yeah.
than men. You know.
Yeah.
So it's generally a good idea just to get familiar with the process.
When I canvassed, I always canvassed with somebody, but not at the doorstep, you know, and be in the same neighborhood, you know, within usual sight. And when I had a young woman working in my last campaign, and I told her straight up, you know, you may canvass without me, but not without somebody. You have to do that. And she deviated from that once and kind of got on her about it.
Okay, I mean, I will leave that up to your discretion, but, I don't want any incidents with people from the committee. Yeah, that would be really bad.
No,
I think it's probably a really good idea to have two people, and it's not, I don't think it's necessarily just a women's issue. It's the problems that I had were not related to gender.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think I'm bitten by dogs. That was
Another
so
thing,
much fun.
if you're gonna do a lot of town, it's worth just dropping a line with the police.
Yeah.
Let them know. It's probably if somebody calls in, the police can say, oh yeah, we
Yeah, that's a good
they're
idea.
there. I mean, we did that routinely because we'd be out all hours. In the dark at night, and you'd always get a phone call or two.
Yeah,
Yeah, the police are often seeing instances where homes where they're in desperate need too. So that might be a
to solicit. the
Yeah, they
police
need a
for
pulse on the
recommendations,
community.
yeah.
who's
That's a
struggling.
good idea.
As would also the churches. They have a pretty good pulse on who's struggling.
Yeah.
Fire department too, probably.
Yeah.
I'm sure they visit places that people need help.
we can even do a presentation in front of the church. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
put the service.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, not your pastor, but you know, some life-saving information.
Or certainly talk to the pastors about that. They probably have some events that they might recommend
Yeah.
you attend.
I mean, the after service social
I
that.
don't know what they do.
They probably get a pretty good idea who needs help too, to a degree.
Oh,
Yeah.
members of their.
Members of the
congregation.
Plenty of leads.
Okay,
In fact, a lot of those, we don't have to wait for warm weather to do. You write the name of the pipeline. Well, I'm excited about this. I think this is a really good tangible way of helping people out and saving energy.
okay. Well, both of you keep us posted at our meetings about the activities that you've been involved in and what's going on.
Yeah, what
If
if,
you need support, if you need any, remember also, Rob, when is the money that the select board has committed for our use available?
I guess it would within the new fiscal year after the election.
After the election?
Yeah,
Okay,
I suspect there's probably money existing in the fund balance currently. So if there was something, just like they gave towards the energy audit, I imagine there's something available.
okay, well, more on that in a minute, but keep in mind that, you know, my thoughts are that this is a block of money that you would have a need for.
Good.
Okay, great. Moving on, the town hall solar installation activity, we've had 2 site visits from Revision Energy and Granite State Solar. They were fairly similar to one another and pretty uneventful. The main thing that they wanted to see was the electrical room, and we also and the transfer switch, which is behind the generator transfer switch, which is behind the building by the generator. Which is where you thought, Jack, that the hook in would have to
Yeah,
go.
the panels are full, so that's really the place to do it. And we didn't have an electrician with us for either one of those, so I wasn't gonna open
Yeah,
it. So I'm gonna get somebody to open it tomorrow and get the pictures, and then we can distribute those pictures to whoever wants them.
Well, I'll distribute it to the whole list. So today, today was the deadline for questions. We got no questions. Those are the only two contacts we've had asking for a site visit. We know that at least Ted is going to submit a proposal, and he clearly didn't see the need for a site visit.
Right.
The only reason why a site visit would have seemed somewhat important is that the commonly available satellite pictures of this site don't show the building. They predate the construction of the building. Now, I think there are some databases that are used for solar analysis that are more recent than that. Do you know?
Yeah, I don't know, but honestly, this is small enough that it's a bit like throwing a dart with a blindfold, you'll hit something. It's not hard to estimate a project of this size.
Yeah, I thought they'd want to see the trees or something.
They could unofficially stop by. And
Yeah,
take a
they might
look
just
at the
Sure,
exterior.
that's true also. They can do a walk around,
Orientation, yeah.
obviously. But we will obviously find out, you know, on the first when these are due. So, that's pretty much it for the status on that. Like I said, there have been no questions received, 2 site visits. I think that Granite State Solar stayed and did a site survey.
Yeah, he might have, yeah.
You know, revision didn't bother with that. There's probably very little need to do that if you've just done a walk around. We're looking for 38,000 kilowatt hours.
It's like 43, 44.
It's what?
About half of mine is,
Oh, more than twice. What
yeah. That's what, put my numbers in. That's why my hand moves.
I was gonna say that wouldn't be good,
Yeah.
but okay. Oh, I had a question, Rob. I don't know if you noticed, but in the upcoming events on the last one, I had this February 2nd thing. I'm not sure what that was, because the select board is not meeting they're not meeting till the 13th, from what I can see.
So we have a meeting this Monday.
Yeah, but that's
That's-
before the
yeah.
RFPs are
I
due.
don't know about that.
Okay, I
It's a
think that
Friday.
it might
Second is
be,
a Friday.
it might have been something that Connor put in his timelines, but maybe it was just a mistake. We can ignore that.
So, Paul, what's the process when the bids are received?
So we will, they're due on the day that we have a meeting, February 1st. So we will go over at the meeting the bids that we've received. We probably aren't going, well, we may be able to, I mean, the decision process is pretty quick and easy. I mean, we're looking at what their cost estimate is. We want to look that we agree with the equipment that they're planning on installing. Jack, what else would we be going over on that?
It's really, can they hit the production? I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
Hit the
break
number we
even.
want.
Yeah.
You know, and so we may well be able to say right out of that meeting which ones we're going to recommend to the select board. That'll be presented to the select board almost 2 weeks later at the next meeting. And they take it from there.
It seemed to me the biggest concern of some of the select board members was that output was going to be as
Yeah.
substantial enough or as good enough, given the orientation of the building.
Well, and also I think the break even point.
Yeah.
The cost analysis on
Yeah,
that.
so
We may choose to reject all the proposals as well.
So this is really a pretty simple and rote exercise. We know what the sun's performance is pretty accurately. The documentation of what panels do is pretty accurate. You can, it's math. And, you know, so long as everybody's specifying good panels and good inverters, not trying to be cheap, then
What would you expect as a payback time?
Well, it ought to be between 7 and 9 years. Really? 7 ideally.
Yeah, we're targeting under 10.
In spite of the fact that I agree with you, it's straightforward, there was some, the concerns expressed were like, well, I don't know that I believe it. And then, can you see it in writing? So they wanted that kind of that proof of evidence that someone was saying, yeah, you'll get this much power.
Yeah, well, doesn't it depend on what electric rates are? Isn't that where
No.
the plan thing?
Well, there are some variables here, right? That, I mean, this is east-west roof, there's a bunch of trees.
The
back
break even doesn't depend on that. That's a simple payback on the, well, I take
Well,
it
no, it
back.
does depend,
Yeah,
yes, it does depend on the rate.
I mean,
We
you know,
probably,
we kind of know.
we probably went from 7 to 8 and 8.5 when the rate went from 12 to 8.
What, yeah, right. It will depend on what their assumption
But if it goes
is
back
on
up to
the
15,
average
you know.
cost.
Well, that's why it's so hard to,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, I've been trying to ballpark these things for the last 10 years, and it's like every time you turn around, the rate changes, and how do you, and who would have predicted 22 cents?
and who would have predicted 8.2?
Right.
With the county eligible for rent credits?
That's what you said it here, too long ago.
You're also eligible for 30%. What was a tax credit? It's now a grant, so. And there's also a state rebate, which for this is probably gonna be, $8,000, $7,000.
So chunk of change.
Is the state rebate on that, the lottery, part of the lottery system? No, it's
Well,
guaranteed.
so that's happened in the residential market,
Yeah,
like the residential rebate market opens and closes in a day and a half.
right.
There's been money in the commercial market nonstop for the last 3 years. We've never been refused a rebate,
Okay, good. That, because I
which is
wasn't
surprising
sure.
because there's a lot of commercial stuff going on.
Is that because there's more money in the pot or?
There is more, but
Yes.
not
Yeah.
that much.
It seems like everybody, a lot of people are building them.
Yeah, you know.
It is.
Yep.
But it must speak to the fact that at least state.
Well, so
we
the
see a
other thing
lot
is,
of
no matter
business.
where we are now, it gets refunded every July. So we could just wait.
Well, that's true.
And towns qualify as commercial.
Yeah, it's surprising, but I've done 8 or 9 municipal projects last year and they all got rebates. It's like, we get here. That's so weird.
We are going to have to be careful, though, in analyzing those responses in terms of the payback period to look at exactly what you said. What are their assumptions
Yeah.
about energy costs? Because we'll have to levelize that.
Yeah.
So,
There must be like 10-year average data on rates, right? I mean,
Well, so yeah, there is. The problem is that the 10-year average is 2.5% annually, give or take. But the last 2 years have completely thrown that out of whack. Because we went from 6 cents to 12 cents to 22 cents. Now we've gone from 12 back down to 8. It's like the whole thing is. I mean, I would assume what everybody's gonna do, what I would do is I would take the 10-year average as it stands now.
yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, sorry. And it
Exactly.
seems to me, if somebody points out there's been so much volatility, how can you predict this? I mean, the answer to that is there's been so much volatility, we can predict it's going to be free now, right?
I think I would show the extreme, the low and the high,
Yeah.
and say what it would be here and what it'd be here, and say it's probably gonna be somewhere between.
Yeah.
Because if you take that high and you say, that payback's gonna be much faster,
Right.
and it's worth showing that because we all suspect rates will go up at some point. So I think show the low, show the high, and say it's probably gonna be between.
yeah, but we don't get to tell them how they do their proposals.
Yeah.
When we may
But we'll-
need to go back and ask questions about that. They may not even state what their presumed rate is. So
Right.
that's pretty fundamental.
I
But
mentioned the committee would do the presentation to the select board,
yes,
right? So you would be able to
and then we have
give an
2
estimate.
weeks. We have 2
Yeah.
weeks.
That-
But in some ways, we pretty much have to say, look, the payback period is,
True, yeah.
it's in here somewhere. Yeah.
6 months, then I'm gonna forget it anyway. But I do think that if we get a rebate, we gotta make the pitch to that money goes to this committee.
Good luck with that, Matt.
Hey, Matt, maybe it should go to your retirement fund.
Let's go.
Yeah.
It's a year.
You're not gonna find any arguments in here, but
February 1st is the energy committee meeting, and then the 12th, Monday, the 12th is the selectmen's. meeting.
right. So we have almost 2 weeks to
Well,
get,
11 days.
Yeah.
That's a.
to get feed. Yeah, if you
Yeah.
need to ask them questions, that's quick.
Yeah.
We call them up.
Yeah,
And we get a response within a
Yeah.
day. And not expecting it immediately.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. And like I said, we may get 3, we may get more.
Yeah.
Who knows? Okay. Moving on. Anyone have anything else that they wanted to talk about in regards to the solar power on this building?
Well, I had one other contact I made. It's not about the town hall, but future, again, down the road, made a contact with the superintendent of the schools. I didn't know when I started talking.
Oh,
to her.
really?
That's who she was, but anyway, I said, you know, the energy committee really wants to talk to you sometime, and she agreed that that would be good to do, and that they have a lot of space and a lot of land. You know, obviously, it's the school
They have a
that gets
good
that.
roof.
Yeah, the roof is good, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, two rooms,
Yeah, true. There's more than one school.
3.
They're meeting, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
they're meeting tonight.
So I had arranged with Connor to have a meeting with I think it was the facilities manager.
Joe
Is our
Williams?
initial, yeah.
Yeah.
That was, back last year when I was going through all that crap with my mother. So that never happened. I talked to Connor again about it a few weeks ago, and he said, yes, he was gonna look into it. So I will poke him again.
Who are you gonna say you can?
Tonight, they're meeting, the school board's meeting, I think their regular meeting. I was told third hand that they're gonna talk about a 10-room classroom addition to the elementary school.
Oh,
It sounds like they already,
You can do it until after the library gets approved.
yeah, it sounds like they already have an architect, and it sounds like they have a design too.
are they going to have a one? They would.
I think it's gonna be next year, not this year.
Okay.
They're gonna be coming with a warrant.
It really doesn't affect us. The additional roof space doesn't really affect us. We're pretty much independent of what their plans are. We can live with things as they are now. We just need to get conversation going with them about the different projects. There's the solar roofs or solar initiatives, period. There's the electric bus initiatives. There's probably some other things.
Might be a good opportunity, though, to push them a little bit about solar panels on a
Yeah.
new addition.
If they're trying to get something like an addition approved, they need to show, some sort of savings in the long term, like that you could get from solar.
We would also be interested in knowing what their plans for the HVAC are in that new addition, because we know that in the elementary school, at least, the old classrooms are.
I know they have a lead issue.
It really at Barrington Elementary?
Yeah, I was gonna forward out the email that I got, 'cause my son goes to that school.
Huh.
It kind of sounded like, it was an update on the lead issue, but I think because my son's only in first grade, it must have been the messaging from last year.
Do you
Um,
any chance know, is it a lead pipe issue? Is it a lead solder issue?
It should be lead pipe in
Oh,
it.
when it was built.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have
it's not that
thought
old.
so.
I mean,
The solder I could believe,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, they were
but
still
I
using
don't
lead
know.
solder.
Yeah, that
I
would.
don't know. Yeah, the letter doesn't say a whole lot. Just says a second round of water sampling, blah, 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 was completed, and unfortunately we had some areas come back higher than the recommended EPA standards. In order to rectify, we'll be posting non-potable water, do not drink signs at the location where the levels are elevated.
And then they mentioned a bunch of classrooms and areas. And also the ECLC as well.
It's exciting. I would think that they would first be looking at water treatment possibilities. So if the water is acidic and it's leaching, they would want to treat that so that they would neutralize it. I assume they have consultants on this,
If
but
they had tests come back with lead in it, you'd be on the state site. You can see all the state testing sites and monitoring of all public buildings or ours is on there, this town hall is on there.
Interesting. Yeah,
Well, it's public knowledge.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll send the PDF I have out to you guys.
okay, great.
Water supply.
Not quite in our bailiwick, but it's.
No, it mentions that Joe Williams guy, the director of facilities, so just something to.
Okay.
It was real gray area in the law. Yeah.
Community.
Yeah, it's a community supply, but not a
Water
public.
supply. Cause we have over more than 25 people that potentially use the water in this building.
Got it.
Michigan.
Okay, moving on. Community power, new things. I think as you all saw, I'm pretty sure I emailed that to everyone. We did submit on the 11th, I think, or maybe on the 10th. I think it actually got submitted on the 11th. The energy aggregation plan to the PUC. We did get notification that it had been accepted as a PUC docket number, PUC 24007. Now that is a public site, so this is in response to what you were asking me earlier, Rob. This site contains all the information that the PUC has received or sent out in regards to a specific application. So in this case, it's our request for approval of the community power program. It's got our, the plan is the EAP that we sent them. It's got the cover letter that we sent with that, their acknowledgement letter. And what we received today or yesterday, I'm not sure, was this order of notice, which is basically a statement that starting today, and extending to February 1st, it is an official public comment period for anyone who has comments to make to the PUC about the town's plans.
We couldn't have made that any more obtuse. I read that 3 times.
It is terrible. It is really terrible.
Well, then nobody will comment.
Well, and
Took 2 years.
you know, given the dates involved, no one's gonna know about this, and we can mention it at the, you know, on Saturday. Or. No, that's afterwards, so we can't mention it there. We're not gonna have anything about it at the table at the primary, so no one's gonna know.
Encourage people.
No, it's true. It's true. I don't particularly want to. I'm just kind of amazed that they consider this enough of a notification for public comment. I mean, we wouldn't be allowed to get away with something like that. It's like saying, well, we'll hide something in some obscure corner of our town website and, you know, expect that will do completely for public comment. That's. And even the.
That's how a lot of government agencies operate.
Yeah, that's true, but they required us to have 2 public hearings, to have a meeting after the election, if it's approved, to notify the public of what's gonna happen. There's all kinds of requirements. I'm amazed that it's that light. But, you know, as you said, it sounded at the first time you looked at it like they had a problem with something, but it.
They're gonna find out what that
But they
problem
don't.
was.
So, I mean, the issue is that they have to have a public comment period. I think that was it. Yeah, it's a strange letter. I don't know if these people feel obligated to be that obtuse or what the deal is, but anyway, I think everything is good. Leah, did you have a chance to look at that document I put up there on the website modifications?
I did, yeah, I briefly looked at it. And then this is, I don't remember if was this on it too? I know I
Yeah.
got your email about this specifically.
Okay, we'll talk about it in a few minutes.
Okay.
But I just wanted to know if you'd seen that.
Well, I do have a thought though, that, when they're abundance of caution, I wonder, is there a bulletin board in this building?
There's one outside.
Yeah, if we posted it there and maybe if the select board mentioned that it was there, say if you have public comment on this, now's the time to do it. You know, again, I think the current, town government has done a good job of being transparent, and this just seems like,
They have a new webpage for public hearing notices, and it was largely based around planning and land use
Right.
notices. But recently, I mentioned to Connor that we had one of our public hearing on the warrant, and the select board was also a public hearing. And so we started adding those to it as well. So
Oh.
maybe the public hearing page could be somewhere that think about public notices or something too.
All right, what do you think of,
I
even these meetings aren't announced on that.
I think we've had, the two public hearings on this. There was very little comment. One person showed up for one of them, right? So
yeah.
I don't know that there's a lot of concern.
Right.
And so there has certainly been opportunity, maybe perhaps the PUC is not as outward with this because we've already done public hearings and things.
Right.
I think it was just somewhere in the rule, when all this was put together, saying you have to do public comment.
Yeah, it was.
I get these from the PUC all the time on everything. I think they have to list everything for public comment. It's just one of the things they do.
Okay.
Well, it says in RSA 53 that the commission may review plans, but it's not a contested case. So they're just going to take submissions for consideration of any comments. So it's really not going to be contested.
What would make it a contested case? Do you have any idea?
Well, I think if the statute allowed for, a hearing where people could present their side, and that kind of an issue that, was contested.
Could someone force something to become a contested case?
I haven't read that. I don't think that's the case with this particular statute.
Okay.
And in terms of having issues, the statute states that the commission has to notify the town basically in writing of any issues that it has. So
Right.
that's really not an indication of any issues.
No,
Even though it uses the word issues.
right. I know that, which is a little concerning, but
Yeah.
fine. Well, hopefully we won't find out anything more about that. If we do, we do. But the other thing is, if they do have any problems and notify us of such, we'll go immediately to the Community Power Coalition because they're the ones that will handle that. Make corrections. So
This is just a formality.
yeah, it is. Okay. Anything else on community power? Any questions? Okay, let's move on. Jack, you had a few new items about the library, and if anyone on the library committee has anything to contribute on status, I'd like to hear any updates you've got as well.
So, in a sort of a casual conversation that Paul and I had with Connor, he mentioned that part of the library plan was to rip out all of the existing ductwork and start over because the way it's built is there are 5 separate zones and each zone is driven by a propane furnace. So they're not contiguous to each other. They're spread all through the building. And obviously we don't want nobody wants 5 furnaces. And they're all, the furnaces and the air conditioners are all on one side or the other 20 years. So they all have to go in. Okay. So the architect's plan apparently is to rip down all the ductwork and then rebuild it based on how the building is configured. And so one of the advantages to doing an air to water heat pump is instead of doing anything with the ductwork, you basically put a fan coil in the beginning where the boiler was. You just put a fan coil and you deliver water to it by piping and you're done. You don't have to rebuild the whole thing. So Roger called me and I had a long conversation with Roger and he was attracted by the idea that it might save a lot of money by not having to rip down all the ductwork. But then I I said, look, why don't we just leave this on the table until after the vote? And after the vote, why don't you assign the energy committee to explore heating and cooling options? And he agreed that that was a really good idea. So
Would you explain who Roger is?
Roger.
Gingrich.
Gingrich is the head, is he the head of the library trustees?
Foundation.
Yeah, he's
Right.
the president of not the trustees, the Barrington Library. There's actually 3 groups. It's the Barrington Library Foundation that's in charge of trying to get a new library.
Well, so that seems to be where it stands. It seems like you were poking another thread in that too, because
Well, just
your name came up, so.
yeah, I was at a Zoom meeting with the local Democrats, actually, and he was speaking, of course, because of the warrant coming up, and so, by the way, you know, the Energy Committee would like to
Yeah.
talk with you, so.
Yeah.
And then must have been before you talked.
Yeah, he sent me an email and I said, why don't you call me? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
So we had a nice chat and I think we're basically, I mean, assuming that's correct, and I'm not an engineer, that was off the top of my head, so just to. But tearing the whole thing apart seems rather intense.
Yeah, no, I mean, fan coils with water, with air to water heat pumps are very well established and they're really easy to install and it seems like it should be a great savings in time and money.
And just as important, they're also easy to repair.
They are.
And it's gonna ask about maintenance, into it. Good to, easy to maintain,
Basically a
better
radiator with a fan on it.
than 5 different systems.
You're not pushing air around as much, you're pushing water around, which is a lot easier. They're better systems.
Do they do heating and cooling?
Yes,
Okay, so then I guess that's actually replacing 10 units, right? Because right now they have 5 furnaces and 5 compressors for AC.
Yeah, but I don't know about the sizing. There might be more than one heat pump. There might be, 2 or 3, I don't know. Depends on the sizing.
Right, but nonetheless, it's going to be a lot fewer than 10.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
so,
Get that data sooner enough that we can present it at the Dover session. And then whittles that number down will be positive.
we are not going to be presenting that at the deliberative session.
I know.
This has to wait for the vote, for one thing. The project has to be given a go-ahead. And then, one of the significant questions is, are we going to hit a lot of resistance from the architect and the engineers who have already decided they don't want to do this, or they didn't even consider it? We don't know the answer to that.
Right. Well, the meeting that I went to, where I brought this up to begin with, their immediate jump was to geothermal. And well, sure, it's gonna be expensive to drill a bunch of wells. Of course it is, but we don't need to do that. So it may be that they just haven't worked with air to water heat pumps. I don't know, but it's hard to dispute the concept when there are mini splits everywhere.
I originally planned on putting a geothermal on the house, the way we're now. And it was gonna be on the order of $60,000 to do that.
Yeah.
And then I said, no, you don't want to do that. You want to use, the.
And
your water.
And your house is 8 years old?
10 years old.
Yeah.
And it was a fraction of the cost. And
When we did the walkthrough of the medical facility, I don't know if it was from the architect firm or the builders, there was someone there who had been involved with or connected to the construction of the school in Durham that was LEED certified, and they were very proud of the energy efficiency and stuff that they had. So I think I would hope that they would be open to, this is another feather in their cap to do something that's going to be energy efficient.
you get
Is it the same?
I think it was, the builder, it was the same builder or someone that worked on that school. There was some connection there. I just don't remember who it was.
This is one of the things that's been on my list for a while, is a tour of the Durham facilities. Do you know what their HVAC system is by any chance?
It's geothermal because we did a big solar hot water install. And I'm still not sure about the physics of this, but they were gonna take the excess heat during the summer and push it down the geothermal wells and use that as thermal storage. Right, which I thought, how do you keep that water in place? But that's, so they have geothermal.
I'm
sure.
Big
Okay.
heat sink. The earth is a pretty big heat sink.
Yeah, but the water moves. That's
Yeah,
what
if they have water, which you're usually counting on, is the way to.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm
Get
pretty
good
sure that's
convection.
geothermal.
Okay, well, we're not gonna go that route, but we hopefully, we will be able to work with people and they'll be amenable to, engineering analysis of this. And you do have a contact for that as well. Was there anything else from the meetings of the library committees that we want to know about? I did see there was the, what's the group, the Barrington Library Committee? That doesn't sound right, but maybe it is. They put out a brochure, which we actually picked up at the library on the new building, which is quite nice.
Yeah, that's the Barrington Library Foundation with Roger as the president.
Do you know, are they distributing that at the schools or anywhere else other than the library?
I am distributing them. At the library, I'm targeting events that are highly attended. Hopefully the rec will agree to allow me to do that in February, then at the dump, and then there's gonna be 2 every door mailings.
Would the foundation, the foundation obviously has quite a bit of money that they're kicking into this project. Would they consider doing a mailing of that brochure or a modified version of it?
Yes, they're going to do it EDDM twice before the election.
What is EDDM?
Every door direct mail.
Oh, okay, good. Good. Yeah, it was a nice brochure.
Yeah, we are super lucky. We've got a really good graphic design person.
Okay, anything else on the library? Okay, I think I sent out the town report. I sent it off after you all saw it. I got no comments back at all, which I assume is a good sign. And that's probably what's going to be in there. You don't need to read this again.
We reviewed it at the other meeting and it all looked good when you.
Oh, did I have it the last time? Oh, okay, sorry about that. Okay, this is gonna take a bit longer. Oh, Leah, before we get into that, did you by any chance get a chance to ask Tiffany or anyone what their website traffic is like?
Yeah, so I did ask Tiffany and she responded that they do use Google Analytics, the good news is I am somewhat familiar with that, but she asked that I create a Google account with the Energy@ email address. I just didn't know if that was like okay to do. That seemed kind of weird to me.
Um,
And then they could possibly add it into their Google Analytics stuff.
I guess it doesn't expose us in any way. I mean, you can open Google accounts with non-Google email addresses. They added
Correct,
that
yeah.
fairly recently. And it would allow us to have a Google Docs site and a Google Drive site attached to that email address rather than attached to my email address, which is what it is now.
Oh, I guess that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, there's no real downside to that. I don't think it exposes us in any way. So is that what they need to collect the analytics?
I think that's the start, and then she's hopeful that we can get the data from it, that she can just add that email account to their stuff. It just seemed weird that I would create the account. That was the only thing I hesitated on.
It's a town website. I don't understand the tie into our email address.
She should already be getting the Google Analytics for the entire
Yeah.
town website, which would include our page as a subpage.
Yeah, something doesn't sound.
Right, no, that's a good point.
She should be able just to pass on the analytics that our page gets.
I mean, we may do that for our own purposes, but I don't think the town needs that. Yeah, that's weird. Okay.
I wonder if she was saying that to so I could look myself. Like, I don't need to do that. She can like export a spreadsheet once in a while or something, you know, I don't need to have access,
Right?
you know.
Do you want to get back to her on that, or do you want? me
Yeah,
to?
I'll ask some more questions with that. Just trying to find the email. Yeah, she says, if we use Google Analytics, if you create a Google account with the energy@barringtonnewhampshire.gov email address, we should be able to add that account. Should in asterisks.
Yeah, something, I think there's wires getting crossed there in some way.
All I asked, I phrased the question as we've been curious about web traffic data for the Energy Committee's pages. Do you have access to that? Or do you think I could have access? Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, just to explain to her that they're part of the town website. It doesn't seem to make sense that, I mean, we tell her we certainly could do that. We just don't think that that is what will get us information on traffic to the town website section that we're populating.
Thank you. Yeah, I needed some help thinking through that.
Is this big enough for everyone? No, okay. Want it bigger? So, So I went through our website and I realized that there were things that were out of date, things that needed to be updated. Let me pull it, see if I can do a side by side. That might be a little difficult. Nah, it's not gonna work. But I made a number of suggestions. There are some things that are simply outdated, such as we still have a paragraph devoted to the capital reserve fund, which is actually from last year, not the one that's coming up. At this point, I think we should just pull it. The fact section needs to be updated. It has the fact question on why there are no solar panels on the Barrington Town Hall, and it contains a whole explanation for why there should not be panels on the town hall. I think we really need to get that off of there.
Good idea.
You know, I don't care if the wording is what I put in here, but Leah, you should look that through and adjust it in any way you think is appropriate, and probably circulate it to the group, the changes that you want to make, because these are going to be pretty significant.
I suspect that question about solar panels on the town hall came through the Ask Barrington, right? And so we may want to talk to Connor about modifying that answer to include, or maybe just edit what was inaccurate about that and say that we are exploring this possibility.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that because I know that that is exactly how that gets populated. I mean, the last paragraph of it says, in fall 22, we have the Energy Committee formed to help identify the best locations for solars. So it's kind of counter. But it's confusing for what we're actually doing.
So are you actually linked to the Ask Barrington site for that response?
So so if you click on the FAQ on our page, it will go. So each FAQ has their own little page.
Okay,
So it goes to that page, but it doesn't automatically pull into our page. Connor had to manually put it onto our page
I see. Okay.
when we wanted any sort of relevant stuff as an FAQ.
When Connor and Tiffany edit the responses to the
Right.
questions. So.
Right. Yeah, so do you want to talk to Connor? You want me to do it?
I can shoot him an email.
Okay.
Yeah, that needs to be updated. And I'm not sure how he'll want to do it if we make
Right.
another FAQ. I don't know.
Well, so he had actually mentioned that this ties into the next question that I have on here. he is expecting that we are going to get, I don't know about a rash of inquiries, but at least some inquiries after the deliberative session, because it will probably be the first time that a significant number of people and people who are at least somewhat interested in what's going on in the town as well will be exposed to, Barrington Community Power and the fact that there's going to be a warrant item about it on the ballot. So he was thinking that we needed to implement a FAQ of our own where we would be able to put answers. Now, I don't know if that fits into the model that we've currently got. That may be something that we need his help with, or whoever did that FAQ for the town site. Do you have any feeling about that?
I want to say we talked about it and at the beginning decided not to have our own section, because I think when you do an FAQ, like this is obviously things have changed. But I want to say that it could be very easily be an option. So I can ask him that as well.
Okay. And I think his concept once again was that the questions would be submitted to our general email address. Rob, do you?
They go through the Ask Barrington, the questions would go.
Okay, I would still prefer that.
I think if we even have our own FAQ section, I think it would really be important. I think they would want to cross-reference. So any of the questions that are answered on ours, they'd want to answer on the regular. It's a searchable database to get answers.
And we're gonna, if the goal is for people to ask questions that had knowledge of agent community and its activities, then if we put that information in place with a lot of other questions being asked about other things, just scrolling down, they're gonna hit upon that. So we don't want to isolate ourselves out in some little dead end street.
Yeah, we'll probably, as Ask Barrington kind of grows, becomes more visible, we'll probably get better traction having our questions go through there.
Yeah.
There's
I
only,
mean,
I see 9. There's only 9.
That's it? Wow.
If I'm looking in the right spot, just the town administrator FAQ page.
But these are the frequently asked questions. It's not the total. I mean, it's whatever they decided to respond to.
I thought there was more than that just on the, I don't remember if it's the homepage of the website or, well, regardless. I don't know if he was thinking about this short term, as something that we'd be able to get in place before the election. That doesn't seem very realistic. And maybe just to answer questions after that.
Because I believe that the Ask Me stuff does get populated. Sorry, I keep hearing that. Does get populated from the Contact Us page, and then there are several categories of the different departments there. Energy Committee is not there, and that's what we had talked to Connor about originally, Paul, was potential to adding it to that drop down, and then it would be more direct.
Yeah.
Somehow, but then I think we would somehow end up with a public facing email address and people emailing us. We weren't sure that we wanted to do that.
It's just below public building department. It only has one question about the solar panels town hall.
Is that on the Contact Us page?
So frequently asked questions.
Oh, okay, but if you look on the Contact Us, have you looked recently, Leah, to see if we're there?
We're not there as
Okay.
a drop down option on the Contact Us page.
That probably is where we need to get Connor to add that, or someone needs to add that in, because I've gotten one question that Connor routed directly to me from someone who was reasonably knowledgeable, and I sent him a huge response, which he was very thankful for, and I never heard from him again. It did not go on to the fact.
Gotcha.
There's no committees there. No, conservation isn't there.
No, it's under plan.
Oh, it's in the planning, land use.
but we ought to have our.
Yeah. You're talking about the drop down.
There's a menu. Right, under contact.
Hang on, and let's all take a look.
We're not on there.
What did you, not on what?
It's a drop down. When you contact us,
No, the next one,
there you go.
right?
Yeah,
You
it's
go to the
like-
menu and it just.
Yeah, no, that's, but what were you looking at, Jim?
Frequently asked questions.
Where is that?
Go
Oh,
back.
sorry. Yep, I was wrong. Yeah, there are a whole lot more. Doug was right. Yeah, if you go to the FARs,
Back up.
Oh,
yeah, the recent questions versus all of them. You can view all.
Back to the top. See where it says frequently asked questions way over to the right?
no.
The question.
Right there, question mark.
Below
So-
circle.
The white circle.
On that.
Oh, it was under the picture, which you can't see.
And then in there's all kinds of questions in different departments. And then
A lot more
you,
than
Is it broken up by departments? Yeah.
yeah, down below building department. Is energy committee.
And this must all be tied to the Ask Barrington too. It's all the same questions, right?
It's on the Barrington website, but I don't think it's tied to Ask Barrington.
Were you familiar with this, Leah?
Yeah, so exactly. So that energy committee one, I think he manually built that because it wouldn't have gone there automatically from the contact us because we're not a drop down.
Okay. Talk to him about adding us to the drop down, seeing that, making sure that this will be populated. And I guess the questions also have to be routed to us in some way. I'm not sure, he may just email them to us. You know, there's not gonna be so many that we're gonna be inundated, but there may be a few.
Ask Barrington is down here,
Separate.
separate section. Where Ask Barrington.
Yeah, but where do you submit questions?
Is it a transfer station? No,
Probably.
I'm not,
You wanna go back to departments?
yeah.
What are you looking for?
Transfer station.
That was a big one this weekend.
There is a section for the transfer station in the FAQ.
But this is the department. Website, not department. Page.
That's not.
No. Back up,
I bet they're.
way down the bottom, right?
I'm sent out a series of questions and answers. from transfer station.
Yeah, so the contact us page drop down, yeah, there's slightly different headers than that FAQ page we were just looking at. So you noticed there's highway and transfer station as one versus what it said before of transfer
Right.
station recycling center. So I'm not sure exactly how they match up
Yeah,
side by side.
you know, however Connor chooses to forward it on to whatever group, you know, that's probably handwork. Well, they've got their system. They need to fit us into it.
I know, I didn't see
Okay.
it there, but.
Right.
That's what I mean, isn't that the way you ask a question?
Yeah,
And there isn't another form. So
no,
so
there's
we
not.
should definitely be on.
No, the way that question had gotten to me was someone either called or emailed Connor directly as a town administrator. And, you know, he took care of that just on a one-off. Okay, so we'll deal with that. The committee goals, I sort of took this from the town report more than anything else. You know, our goals as time goes by have been changing. It probably would be good to, let me bring that up.
Ag increases. Is that
Was it
possible?
the first one?
So,
There's a Ask Barrington.
okay, no separate conversation. One meeting. Under the Community Power Coalition. Well, let me take a look. So I thought the secure grant funding is fine, municipal building energy audits is fine. The Community Power Coalition section needs to change because we have been gathering information for a long time and we're sort of well beyond this section. So what I was proposing is that we replace it to something about pending voter approval, launch of Barrington Community Power in conjunction with the Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire in summer of 24. And then we would add links to learn more about community power by directing people to the page that we've got for that, where I think we've got plenty of links for them to learn about. And I have some changes for that as well. I do think it's worth having a link to our handout. I actually think that handout is really good. I think that's an excellent first source for people to go to. I think the number of people who will who are going to want to go beyond that will be extremely limited. But if they do want to go beyond that, the place they want to go to is the CPCNH site itself. And we can direct them to that.
The revised version of the handout that did you check with Connor about printing those? I think he had to check with legal, right? Maybe about if that was going to be okay for the town to pay for printing.
I did not have a conversation about that. That was one of the questions that I wanted to bring up here, was that we've got a problem there. So you think we should you think the town might be amenable to that now?
Well, I think we were talking about for the table, right?
Right.
The 23rd,
Right.
which is Tuesday. So I don't know if there's time. I think my impression is if the town were to pay for it, they would have to have the lawyer review to make sure that's kosher.
Okay. Well, I've got the old ones. I actually gathered these out of the conference room just now, and I've got the single, the double-sided ones at home. They're out of date. They don't have the number of the communities right or the map right. They still are talking about the public hearings, but they're better than the text is actually exactly the same. That's important.
It would be easy to create a poster with a QR code that just directs them to the energy website, the community power page.
So
QR code you could create instantly on the web. Just put it on the page. So we can just direct everyone that way. You can also do a QR code that goes right to the flyer. It's a PDF on the.
yeah, well, we could actually put stickers on these that
Yeah.
have a new QR code.
Yeah, you can print sheets of stickers with QR codes. And put
Right.
on them.
That might be a good way
Right,
to
Tuesday.
go. Yeah, I mean, you can do that. And I
Yeah,
printed
But
for,
certainly if you have one that's on the table, people can.
Yeah.
That, I know that we're doing that for trails conservation.
yeah, I don't remember what it was, but there was something where I had to put a little sticker over something about the public meeting, the public hearings. And I just printed that up at home. Yeah, that would be easy to do with the standard Avery labels.
Well, we
Were
certainly.
you saying? Were you saying that anything on the table has to be reviewed by the town legal staff, or just if we use town money to print it?
Yeah, my impression was if we're using town money to print it. Whether it's informational versus advocacy.
Gotcha.
And that line is something the lawyers usually determine.
It's pretty fuzzy.
Yeah, I think we're free to present anything we want of our own information. It's only where money comes into play that it starts to get difficult.
Right.
And I think that at this point, we have made this innocuous enough that it would pass muster. Yeah, the other thing is that we could actually the first page of this has no mention of the Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire. It is just,
Or the vote, right?
it does say vote at town meeting.
The specific reason we took the 23rd to have tables is because none of this is being voted on that day. So
Right.
it's not being clouded as an advocacy attempt.
But I guess the further question is at the deliberative session, it would be
Right.
good to have some information, whether
Yeah.
it's that. Or,
Yeah.
if that's okay.
By then, I think we could get clarification whether it's okay for the town to print them and have them as handouts.
Okay, well, should I go to Connor about that? You want to go to Connor
Yeah,
about
so
that?
the other thing is we have the voter guides, right? And the voter guides this year are going to have the objective and then there's the subjective opinions. And the support statements that we've provided has a link to our page as well.
Okay,
And so that warrant article has a link. I don't know if it went to if it goes to the committee or to, the committee page or the energy page. Either way it gets to it, but
I don't know what we put in there. You said there's an objective and a subjective section. Who
Yes.
writes the subjective?
so the subjective one is being written by select board and the ABC, those comments. And then because the energy one wasn't a financial, they were like, well, the committee could maybe put something together and that's where you and I and we edited.
Oh, so that's gonna be in the
That's
subjective.
the
section.
subjective,
Okay,
because it's a support statement.
okay. Yeah, I don't know what we put for a link in there, but
You'll get them.
it'll be closer. Okay, so that was the committee goals. I think we need to add something about the weatherization assistance and community outreach.
Before you get, I was just thinking on the community power, it'd be good to have a line in there. The goal is to bring lower electric rates to the town. I think if you just say community power, people could read anything into that. Oh, they're gonna put solar panels in it. It's not about that. It's about electric rates. Yeah, I'm just saying it'd be better, because if that's the first people see of it, you might as well.
This is not verbatim wording in any way.
Yeah,
This is,
I get that. I'm just saying that
Yeah, you make a good point.
you don't want to just say we're doing community power if people don't know what that is. The goal is, right, the goal isn't to get to necessarily.
The main message at the table is gotta be that we're reducing the electric rates for.
It's gonna be an interesting deliberative session. I had long conversations with a couple of my neighbors about this community power. They knew nothing about it, so I had to bring them from ground zero. And
That's gonna be the case with it.
so the concept for all of these is to go to look at this town report document. This is where all of this comes from. It has the statements that you want, perhaps not stated in exactly the way that we want to have it in that paragraph. But I think the town report actually captures all of this stuff quite well. So that's where you should probably go to draw this information from and derive your text from there. I agree, having that statement makes sense. The action is guaranteed to provide lower rates and expanded rate options at the outset. We want to have that in here. I don't think we want this whole paragraph.
No, I agree. I'm saying one line to catch their eye.
Well, it can be, it can be more than a line. We have more than a line for a number of these. We have more than a line for this, which is going to be gone. I guess, Leah, you do have restrictions on how much room you can take up, but, so it'll have to fit in there. Anyway.
Yeah,
why
no,
don't
I can figure that out.
you have a run at it and see what you come up with and how do you want to do this? Do you want to wait till the next meeting to go over this? Do you want it to be put up there more quickly, in which case it could be sent out to the community email address and we could give some feedback, although we have to be very careful about that.
Well, I think some of it is pretty straightforward. I can just do on my own, and then maybe some of the things that might need some more wordsmithing. I'll see how complex and maybe wait till the next meeting, but
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. We'll leave it to your judgment and obviously nothing's cast in stone here, in concrete. If we see something that we want changed, we can deal with it afterwards. So like I said, this is all taken, all of these headings are taken from the town report. And I just think that to accurately reflect what we are thinking about doing, that's what
I
we're
didn't know
thinking.
if, for the next one, the municipal facilities planning, is that closely enough aligned with municipal building energy audit? Or no?
I don't think that
I think that should be
was,
really called out separately. It just,
so what I had municipal facilities planning. Can you see that, Leah?
yeah. Just it's still very general in that like planning phase.
Oh, yeah, it's very general at the moment. The library is much further along, but the public safety building, hasn't even started yet.
So I'm just
li-
wondering if I just modify what's under the municipal stuff. I don't know that they need to be called out twice because they're very similar.
Which ones are you talking about?
I'm talking about the existing municipal building energy audits line. Of doing
Oh.
energy audits and recommending the most cost-effective measures to town buildings most in need of improvement. This is like a secondary line tied to that.
I'm not sure where you're seeing that.
I'm looking at the current website.
You know, you could probably pull that and fit that in under the other section.
So-
Mention audits in there.
So pull the energy audit one into
Yeah,
the newer one. Okay.
that does make sense. It's hanging. Excuse me a second. Sorry about this, folks. Okay. Let's try that again. Okay, we're back. The news and announcements, I think, needs to be radically overhauled. Stuff in there is pretty old, and we sort of need to decide when that stuff should age out. But I think that all these items should go in there. So if you have any thoughts on these or anything else that you think should go in there?
Yeah, I mean, the ones up there now, yes, I agree, they can be taken down. I can easily just make them not public anymore. I don't know, is it worth creating a whole, because I have to like write something that goes along with that headline,
Right.
if it's worth it to, because there's already a headline saying date scheduled for November 2nd and 27th. Can we just keep that one as opposed to making a new one that they were held?
Oh, I would be willing to get rid of that completely. You know, I think there's probably not a whole lot of space for all of these and, you know, the fact that they were held, I don't think there's much to say about the fact that they were held, especially since so few people attended.
So it's,
So if you want to just delete, that's fine.
Okay. So I think what happened after the meeting should stay, like the one about approving the warrant article, or is that old news now? We could take that one down? Because you don't have that one on here.
I think
I was thinking of leaving that one up, actually.
Okay.
Well, I wonder if Leah's point about keeping them having been held might have some value, because to Matt's point, where voters say, I've never heard of this is the first I've heard of this, and
Oh.
people are gonna say, this got snuck through, there was no hearings on this, the PUC might be looking to make sure that we had hearings. I think showing that we've had them is probably important.
Do we, Leah, how hard would it be
The
to,
presentation, rather than quiz, once you get quiz, it's like, they already lost.
what did you say, Matt?
Just I think it's, an abundance of caution would say that we identify all the things we're doing to try to keep the public informed. The second somebody comes out and says, well, you didn't post that meeting.
Okay, in that regard, no, I agree with what Rob said. We could conceivably have another web page that had historical news items that nothing gets lost from. It's just that it's not on that front page. Would that be hard to implement, Leah?
Let me see here. That's a good question. I know if you click on, so you see the news and announcements in the sidebar, and then if you click on the words news and announcements, it brings you to a new page. And I wonder if I don't think we've had enough where there would be older ones that I did remove. I don't remember if I had any earlier from before that first one in June. I want to say I did and I took it down. So maybe they don't all get populated here.
You know what you might do, Leah, because it's not evident that you can click on that to get to that page. You might, in that title, have in parentheses underneath it something like archives. So they can actually click here.
I just have a feeling if I take it public off of here, it's not going to show up on that bigger page. Like, I don't think that actually is an archive page. I think it's just a different way to view it.
Okay.
So just change those first two words, dates scheduled to meetings held.
Oh, did you catch that? Jeff?
Change it from scheduled to held.
Dates scheduled to meetings held.
Yeah. And that's news in itself. We held these meetings. Yeah.
But so are all these items still present on the previous, on the homepage? 2, 4. Yeah, so this is basically only the items that are present on our homepage. You don't know if there's a way of getting rid of them from the homepage, but keeping them here.
I recall because I know I've made an older announcement and, made it private. And I'm I think that's the only option is public or private. Either it's on the website or it's not. I can go back and see if there's anything else to have I agreed to have an archive of the news. I can look into that.
For the time being, even if you make them private so they're not visible, if we need to, we can always get them back. They're not gone. You're not.
Correct. I did right. I don't have to delete them.
So if anyone did have a complaint, that sort of safeguards us while we're working on it. So a different facility. And that, I mean, you're not going to be able to do all this at once. So that would give us time to find out how to implement a page where we could have people would be able to look through historical news items relating to the committee. I think that would be useful.
Yeah, I think to Matt's point, I don't think I would remove anything until after the vote in March. I mean, just
Okay.
in case, just to have everything really spelled out to be really transparent.
Lee, I think you can also weight each news item so that it falls in different sequences, so you can maybe bump things to the kind of the archive page. I think you can assign a weight number, right, to each news piece.
Say that again, Rob.
I think you can assign like a weight number to each news piece that kind of gives them a rank order.
Gotcha.
Bump something to the latter page if you wanted to get off of that front. So you can prioritize which ones you want in the lead, I think.
Gotcha.
think-
Yeah, because I wonder if I had 50 news, would they all show up?
Seems to be chronology there.
Yeah, and you can do, I mean, typically the default is chronological, but I think you can override that with a weight.
Well, there's some experimentation to be done on this section. It's just, if you add all those other things on top of this, it's gonna get really long.
Right, either it gets really long or there's a limit to how much can show on this page, and I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, well, try it out, see what happens.
Yeah.
That would be a good result, actually, if it just didn't allow more than a certain length in there and they vanish. Okay, back to document. And then on the community power page, let's go to that and have a quick look at that one. So I'm basically proposing that a bunch of this stuff be changed. This, in April 2023 is out of date. This is too much about Community Power Coalition. I think it needs to have at least a little bit about just plain Jane community power. So let's see what I had proposed. I tried to at least have an intro about the, Barrington Energy Aggregation Plan and the vote. This will be out of date soon as well. And then it does go into an explanation of the Community Power Coalition and how the umbrella that they provide and what they do for us. Why don't you read this over and see what you think?
It's all accurate. I think I can count on one hand the number of people who read the entire thing.
The support statement of that we wordsmithed together is basically that. I don't know if we want to have a continuity.
The one that we have for the
Well, that was,
voter guide.
yeah, for the voter guide.
I'm not sure where that is, to be honest.
I forwarded it to you again tonight.
Okay, let me see. If I might have already deleted it. Threw it away, Rob.
Take that personally.
I also sent it to you on the 8th. Didn't-
I think there's a message in there somewhere.
That's not to read.
Here. Is it? No, that's my plea to you that did I screw up?
Send it one more.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, this is it.
Right there.
Okay.
That's the article, and then there's a statement below it.
Just these two paragraphs?
No, it starts at
Community power aggregation
the
plan.
warrant article has received. That's
Oh,
kind of where
okay.
it starts. the support.
Everyone, would you prefer that?
You might as well use this for
Yeah,
consistency.
I do. Yeah, I think that's much more readable. I mean, it was just heavy on content now that people read.
They would just like to have the first sentence start with Barrington Community Power, which I think your original draft says it, but reverse it. I think you start with pending voters. Should we have that, keep that Barrington Community Power is poised to launch in collaboration with sentence in?
I am just going to add this as another section.
You could just be a section support statement for community power. There's a possibility that Connor or the town edits any of our support statements that come. And maybe another edit that happens at Connor's level.
For, not for our website.
So go in the vote.
Yeah, for the voter guide,
Yeah.
sure.
That's a lot more people are likely to see, right? If they read their mail. Okay.
So this kind of made a mess of things, Leah, but I'm not gonna edit it out now. It's in there. I would use your discretion and, edit out from here what seems appropriate and use this, the underlined stuff as the base. Okay,
Yep, got it.
and that's it. That was painful.
Yeah, so I was looking for a new addendum because that Q2 was from Q2 2023, and I couldn't find one when I was
don't-
updating that rates chart.
Yeah. They're really not putting out announcements and haven't been for quite a while, and I don't know why that is. That we got that new map through a special request, and I don't know, there's just nothing new. They are putting out the rate announcements. I know they're extremely busy, and I think probably their focus has shifted to new enrollments. That's but they've also hired some new people, so it's possible that some of that publicity will pick up. I think I'll also ask Andrew about that, because that is his job.
I want to say I came across that updated map somewhere else too.
It was in a document that we got.
But I thought I saw it on their website somewhere.
Oh, it is. If you go to the About page, and I referenced that, might have it as a link here.
This is the map you guys said you're putting on the flyer, page 2, right?
Yeah, so this link here. If you go there, it has the map. And this is the
Gotcha,
link
okay.
we should have, that we should direct people to who want to explore more about CPCNH, because I think it's the best starting point. And then they can go to the other pages in here and, see what's there if they want, but I thought this was a good starting point.
Yeah, that's the first link we have underneath the rate chart. is the about page.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, good. I didn't notice that. Just a second. Okay, this relates to our next topic of conversation. Or one of the topics of conversation. Let's go to this one, table sign up for the primary elections. I am going to be on duty, I'm assuming pretty much all day. Between the table and the, whatever he has me doing at the polls. So I am officially on duty for the polls from 7 to 1. After that, I need to vote and then I'll be at the table. Is there any, I know a lot of you have commitments for a lot of other things. I know you're at the select board table.
I'm officially signed up 1 to 6:30, but my plan is to be there all day as well, probably starting morning, so I can fill in here and there.
Okay,
I work the parking lot 7 to 7.
you're in the parking lot.
I'm outside holding a sign,
You what?
I'm outside holding the sign.
Okay,
I could be available anytime between noon and 5, I guess, not the whole time.
yeah, no, pick a time.
Couple
Pick a
I'm
time.
holding the sign too, I can't remember.
Yeah, 5 to 7, so I could do 3 to 5,
3 to 5.
probably a slow time, but
Very interesting, see what we get for turnout.
or noon to 2, if that's, I mean, that's probably maybe a busier time. We'll go
There's
during.
no school, so I cannot commit to anything.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna be at the library table.
Yeah, I knew you were at the library. Yeah, I mean,
I'm putting all our tables like near, I hope like in the same area.
Oh, the cafeteria.
I don't know how the layout's gonna be. It'd be nice if they were kind of.
yeah, I asked that our table would be next to the select board.
Nice.
Whether or not it happens remains to be seen.
Oh, okay. Appreciate that, it's up.
Just come by whenever you can. It'll spell
Yeah,
me.
I mean, I'll be there. I don't want to be there all day, so.
Yeah.
A little break.
Yeah,
I got a vote too.
okay, well,
Take a while.
We try to warn them.
we'll do the best we can. I will be pretty cranky by the end of the day.
Well, we don't have much to put out, right? I mean, we have those.
We don't have, yeah, this is all we've got to put
Can
out.
we get a one flyer of the community action partnership, their flyer? Can we just?
Oh, I
print
can
one
print
out?
that out.
I mean, just to have something to say, hey, we're planning to do
I missed that
we're
conversation.
talking about at the table.
Yeah.
Next Tuesday. We have something about the community action, the
Oh,
the flyer. or
Hey, can you get those flyers?
yeah, it should be.
Well, I mean, I can print a color copy.
Well, maybe just be able
Just
Why wouldn't they have a bunch to hand out?
Yeah, probably have a
Yeah.
box of them.
Yeah.
Just get a stack.
if you can do that, we'll put
That'd
them
be
on.
great.
Might as well start
Mm,
spreading the word.
yeah,
Do we want a sticker on any of those? Saying to contact us in any way, or just let them go to CAP?
Good. Or if somebody inquires about it, referring to that.
Do you want to print, we have the nice logo that they made for us. Is that specifically community power NH though? Okay,
Oh, well, it doesn't say that.
I was just thinking we could print it for the front of the table on the
No,
banner.
it's Barrington Community Power.
So we could print a large logo. Full sheet logo or something.
I guess, you're talking about something.
We all have one that says Barrington Energy Committee or.
The energy committee and that maybe having a
Yeah.
picture of the logo.
As well.
Yeah, we could do that. I could take it, go up to Staples and have them print it big.
Yeah, and I'm also picturing just,
Poster board.
8x10, kind of like a flyer or something with a QR code that says something to the effect community power, advocating for more choice and lower rates. article, and warrant articles number or something or other. Eventually, we'll probably want like a poster or sign that says vote yes on articles.
Yeah.
You know, for
the
lower
actual
rates, for
election.
more choice.
Where would we be showing?
Well, I mean, that's probably gonna come after this point, but I think we,
At the polls, on March 12th, we
You
want to
mean
be out
standing
front.
out front?
If we can manage it, I would think that would be a good thing.
I guess people do support their individual warrant articles, so that would
Right.
fit.
but I think, you know, just a simple buzz line, like, you know, lower energy
Yeah.
rates, more choice, community power.
Send me
Vote
your
yes on it.
suggestions and I will try to put something together.
Yeah,
But
I have that sign that we were using at the transfer station. I thought I'd just amend it to say vote, you know.
I don't
March
really
12th.
remember what it.
It just said Barrington Community Power, and then it had the hearing dates, but I thought I'd just paste over that with vote.
Oh, okay.
Lower
To
electric
have that
rates.
in our table.
And it's worth, yeah, saying vote March, you know, 13th, just because it is a different date from the
Right,
primary and stuff,
right.
so that they know it's.
Yeah, that,
Come
you're
back
just gonna do
March.
this by hand, right?
Yeah, I can just.
Yeah.
But we ought to have one that just says Barrington. Identify who we are,
Right.
so we're not just some
Yeah,
random.
yeah. Well, and we could do it in conjunction with that logo and just have a poster sized thing. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that would look better. I would do it by hand, but if you want to blow one up.
I don't want to do it by hand. I don't have time.
My handwritings.
Well, I'm just saying it's more reusable or, you know.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's gonna be hard enough to get up to Staples to get this crap made. I got a lot going on.
For general color copies, like papers like that, I don't recommend Staples. I was going there for a project and it's like 70 cents a page or something.
Yeah, it's expensive. I mean, I found out doing these, and we got twice as many because of their mistake.
Yeah, but it should be
But
much
it's,
cheaper elsewhere.
For small numbers, the library.
Or
The library.
Libraries, yeah, I was surprised how little they charge.
I
You
didn't know they
can't
did
do a
that.
100.
About 10 cents a page, I think.
Really?
Yeah, my printer will be 100 without any problem.
Okay. I know.
Mine will, but. it'll-
Mine will, it'll cost about
Yeah.
$70.
Right. That's a place.
That's okay.
And it would take about 3 hours.
I can get the poster done for nothing. We'll have to find some way to mount it.
Okay,
So just give me the materials and we'll get that.
okay. Send me suggestions. I'll put it together and I'll connect with you.
Okay.
Okay. The last thing was, I was talking to Brian Lenzi, who used to be the chair of the Lands Committee. That his role was taken over by AJ Dupere. And there has not been a meeting since. He called me yesterday and he was trying to write up the blurb for the town report. Because I guess AJ didn't do it. And what he mentioned was that Connor had been talking to him about having the Lands Committee work with us to find land that the town could use for a municipal solar array. I think this is a discussion that we need to have in the group. I am, based on the conversations we've had earlier, I am less inclined to do that, at least initially, before we look into, co-location sites with municipal facilities and behind the meter possibilities.
Yep.
Connor, I mentioned this to him, but he seems to really want to do this array for some reason. Maybe it's like, the school and the library. He wants to get this on the ballot because it's not going to pass for years. I'm not sure. I don't know what his thoughts are on this, but maybe we need to be, does anyone have any strong feelings about how this should go?
I think you should focus on municipal buildings first. I mean, I think creating a giant finding land, which would take it off the tax base.
Well, he's thinking of using land that the town has obtained by tax default All right, I know he has a parcel in mind up near Turbocam on Route 9. It would have to be logged.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And-
If you're
and-
clearing
Yes,
forests,
and
it's kind of defeating.
I have a problem with
Yeah,
this.
lots of people do.
Right, in addition, I think the public has a problem with this from the research I've done as well. So.
So the financials are pretty clear here.
Yeah.
Anything behind the meter will be way better than an indirect.
So you're saying if there's an existing meter, like at a school or the.
The transfer station in this building or, you know,
Yeah.
it just
That's
makes,
Public
should always
safety
be
building,
the numbers are better.
priority.
No matter how you slice it, the numbers are
The
better.
public safety building is a tough one unless we go on the roof, and that
yeah,
all
that's what I
has,
mean.
Yeah.
that has
Is
to
it-
wait for the design
Yeah,
process.
on the roof of the public safety building, what I
Yeah.
meant.
Okay,
We'll just tell them that's our first priority. Once we've done all that, we
Yeah.
still need.
You can approach the agenda in 2027.
Well, also maybe you start referring to them as rooftop arrays, right?
Right.
You Start
Yeah.
using the words that they like to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they may not be in all cases, and you
Well-
were talking about behind the transfer station, but I think we need, I just need to have a conversation with Connor. Now that he's sort of approaching the lands committee on this, and our feeling is that that's not really the approach that we think should be taken. We need to discuss this with him and make clear what feelings are. And what we feel.
That piece of land behind turbo cams, that's quite a ways off the road. Right?
I don't know where it is. I
Must be
don't
quite a
know
ways
which
off the road.
piece it is. I
So
think
you
it
gotta
is.
run a lot of wire to get there.
I don't think it's that far. I think it's just past the building on
Is it?
the right, on the opposite side. They've talked about that for a lot of things.
I thought there's a new, on the right, there's a.
There's a new
house.
building on the left.
Yeah,
Turbocam's gonna build another building supposedly too.
Yeah.
To
actually,
get the plans in the fourth building.
They're coming to the Conservation Commission.
oh,
next
really?
week, Actually. So we'll know more on that.
Associated buyers. Leaving Barrington, really?
Yeah,
And so that commercial location is gonna try to come up for sale.
That's an industrial.
Yeah. Behind
goodness
Cozy's.
bought out by a company in New Jersey.
Yeah, so they're pulling out of Barrington.
You mentioned this in relation to,
Well, because when you're talking about commercial TurboCam, and other commercial locations, I don't know what Associated Buyers has done around
Oh.
energy. But new
We-
people will be on the block.
we were only mentioning TurboCam because the piece of property that Barrington has taken by default is somewhere near their building.
Yeah, it just got me thinking about commercial
Okay.
entities and big rooftop possibilities.
You know, they put on a big show about 5 years ago about doing solar there. They went down, spent a lot of time on it, and it never.
With Associated Buyers. Oh. Okay, well, but I do think I'll have a conversation with Connor and explain to him that really is not what we see as being a priority and that there are other areas.
Is there any ratio you could,
Okay.
Jenna, between how much more effective or efficient, behind the meters versus standalone systems?
I think it's a huge spreadsheet.
That'd be good information for you to have talking to Connor.
Okay, that was everything. We don't have to go over the upcoming meetings. You all have this if you want to refer to it for anything. Leah, you have that document I updated. I just, checked in the changes that we made on here. So you should have that on the website updates.
Okay.
That's about it. Let's go home.
Splendid idea.
Thanks, everyone.
Cindy, go to sleep. Look, she didn't. Especially on you. Yeah. Seems like it was this. Here, sometimes it's pretty good.
Oh, yeah, it always has. We always had discussion about it. Yeah, we submitted comments.
Nice.
Some article. Yeah. Yeah,